probabilistic distribution model, and the distribution is over the sequence of words, that is string of text. If you say this example, there are sequence of words, that is a string. I am calculating the probability of these words, that is a quick brown dog, which has the probability of 0.001, a dark quick brown, which has a very high probability. Okay, sorry, that means a very small probability for P2 value. So if you see this, why the P2 value is having very small probability? Because of grammar. But the words in P1 and P2 are same, but the arrangement is, or the sequence of words is different. So as the sequence of words here are different, you are getting different probabilities. The probability, if you see P2 and P1, is varying very much. So if you take the statistical model or a probabilistic model, the retrieval of these words, just a minute. Madam చెప్పండి మేడం, క్లాస్ తీసుకుంటున్నా. లేదు 10 తర్వాత వస్తారట రిజిస్టర్. మీరు ఉన్నారా, వచ్చారా కాలేజ్కి? లేదు, క్లాస్లో ఉన్నా మేడం నేను. Right. But for information retrieval, P1 and P2 are same. If I want to, if you are calculating the probabilities for the entire string, then the probability is varying very much. So the retrieval of P2 ranking may degrades. So for that purpose, what we'll think is the words are independent of each other. We'll go with Bayes formula, Bayes rule, and we'll consider the probability of individual terms. If we consider the probability of individual terms, then we can combine these terms to form a sequence. So that's why this statistical language model, which we are finding the query likelihood, that means the likelihood of document with the query, and we are generating the sequence of the sentence. Here in the previous example, what we have done, we have calculated the probability of the entire string. Instead of calculating the probability of entire string, we'll go with the Bayes rule, and we'll consider the independence of the words, and we'll calculate the probability for individual words. Okay. So and from that individual words, we are generating the sequence. That's why this statistical language model is also called as generative model. So types of language models, the different types of language models are there: unigram model, bigram model, and n-gram model. In n-gram model, we'll consider the single words. And in the previous classes, we have discussed what is this Bayes rule. The posterior probability is given as, what is this? Conditional probability into prior probability by evidence. So in unigram model, we are considering the product of individual query terms given the document D. So let us see the example. We have a set of colors in the database, that is red, blue, yellow, and the query is red, yellow, red, blue. So the probability of the sequence, that is the query, is calculated by the probability of individual words. So see, so as we are calculating for individual terms, though the words changes, we can calculate the sequence from these words. So probability of red is total four is there. 4 number of red colors in the database by total number of colors. That is total number of documents. 4 by 9 into 2 by 9, 4 by 9 into 3 by 9. Any doubts in Unigram? Any doubts in Unigram? What we are doing in the language model? We are creating a model and we are generating the sequence here. So bigram model, in bigram model, instead of taking two words, instead of taking a single word individually, we'll take two words. The two words may be a phrase. For example, United States. They both are dependent to each other. So instead of taking a single word, we are taking two words and calculating the product of the word given the previous word. And similarly, n-gram, when we are going with bigram and n-gram, consider these words as phrases. So the probability of the phrases sequence is calculated as probability of the first word, probability of the second word, and the product of the first word given the previous n-1 words. So the rank is given according to the relevance of odds. And what is odd in probability? The probability of occurring the relevance document by the probability of non-occurrence of the relevant documents. So the statistical language model ranks according to query likelihood. Let us see what happens. You have a sample documents D1 and D2, and we are calculating the probability of some of the words in the document, and say we take the higher probability words from these documents, and we are making a sample documents with these words. Have you understood? Up to here, we have two documents D1 and D2, and we are calculating the probabilities of the each and individual words in D1 and D2, and whatever higher probabilities we are getting from these documents, we are creating a sample documents with these words. For example, a sample document D1 contains the attributes or features apple and pie, and D2 from contains cake and apple with the probabilities 0.20 and 0.15. Now, these two sample documents are given to the user. So, seeing these two documents, the user will form his search query. That means, by seeing D1 and D2, then he can understand that, okay, I can give the search queries like apple and pie. Instead of going with the D1 document and searching for the relevant keywords and framing the query, by seeing this sample document, the user will generate his search query. That's why the generative model. Okay, So when the query is formed, the relevant documents or the similar documents that are similar to our sample documents will get retrieved. It is this statistical language model is mostly used to retrieve the similar documents, similarity documents. See, a user formulates query by selecting the words from this prototype document, and based on the search queries, the relevant or closest documents which is similar or closer to the prototype will get retrieved, because the query is the user is formulating the query terms from these prototype documents. Any doubts? Right. Next. We know what is the problem with probabilistic estimation. If a particular word does not found in a document, then we give that value as 0. If one of the value becomes 0, the entire formula will become 0. So to avoid such type of problem, we'll use a technique called as smoothing technique, wherein we include a factor called as adjustment factor, which in this case is lambda, and when lambda is equal to 1, it is called as Laplace smoothing, and when it is in between 0 and 1, it is Lidstone smoothing. Relevance feedback, I'll explain after your explanation. Yes, who is going to present now? చెప్పండి, ప్రిపేర్ అయ్యారు కదా. ఇప్పుడు అహదా, ఇప్పుడు బులియన్ మోడల్ అండ్ వెక్టార్ మోడల్ అన్నారు కదా. ఎస్, రవితో ప్రొసీడ్.
హలో మ్యామ్.
ఎస్
మ్యామ్, పీపీటీ ల్యాప్టాప్లో ఉంది. అంతలో ఇంకో వేరే మోడల్ నేను నెక్స్ట్ చెప్తా మ్యామ్.
నెక్స్ట్ చెప్తావా? సో స్టాటిస్టికల్ మోడలా నెక్స్ట్?
ఓకే మ్యామ్.
If you go according to the syllabus, then you can remember more instead of going one model last model first or the first model last. We'll go according to the sequence.
ఒక 2 minutes మ్యామ్. In the form of x and y, x and y and not z, the document that contains these x and y but not z are written. Understand these logical terms and formulate the query according to the logical terms. So how we retrieve the document? After giving a Boolean query, the system retrieves that exact match with the query. If there is a partial match of the terms, such as, for example, if there is a partial match like coding, it may not give the document that relates to the coding. So if there is a match exact with the code, then it only gives the document with the term code. Due to this problem, many users really use this in practice. And this is a major disadvantage of Boolean model. Hence, most people move to vector space model. That is why it is best known and widely used. Here, why we use vector model? Here, the documents are represented as weight vector, where each weights are represented based on TF-IDF scheme. So we basically move to what is TF-IDF scheme. So what is TF scheme? In this TF scheme, weights of terms are calculated as number of times the term Ti appears in the document. As number of times in the number of times the term may occupy more than billion times, we may normalize the frequency of that term. So the frequency formula is given by TF equal to frequency of the ith term in the document J by maximum of frequency of all the all the documents of the term. Here mod V is the vocabulary size that may be a dictionary, and TFI is the term frequency of the term I in the document J. If the term does not appear in the document, then the term frequency in the document of the term I in the document J is 0. When term appears in the document, it is neglected. Hence, we move to TF-IDF scheme. So what is TF-IDF scheme? TF stands for term frequency and IDF stands for inverse document frequency. Using inverse document frequency, if there is a term appearing in many number of documents, it may be neglected or may not be neglected. And its formula is given by inverse document frequency of ith term appearing at least once is log of n. N is the total number of documents by DFI, number of times the term I appearing at least once in the document. The weight of Hence, in the vector model, the weight of the each term in the document J is calculated as weight of the term I in document J equal to term frequency of that and inverse document frequency of the term I. Let us see how the queries are represented in the vector space model. Similarly, as for the term I in the document J, we calculate the term I in the query queue. The formula for the query term I in the query queue is given by W of IQ, which means a word I in the present in the document query queue, and it is calculated as term frequency of that ith term into inverse document frequency of that ith term in the query. Let us see how the documents are retrieved and relevance. In Boolean model, binary query is difficult to make a decision whether to consider it the document or not. Here, the documents are ranked according to the degree of relevance to the query. One way we can calculate similarity between documents is cosine similarity. Cosine similarity of document J with respect to query Q is equal to summation of word present in the document word present in the term I in the document J to word present in the document term I in the query Q. By using cosine formula, we find out the similarity between those terms.
1
We
minute.
can use sine.
You don't need to have to explain the formula. Just to tell this is the formula for cosine similarity. How can you explain that this is d dot q by mod of dj into mod of q that is equal to summation of? No explanation is required for that because everyone knows this formula. So simply say that the similarity between the document and the query is calculated using cosine similarity, and this is the formula. That's all.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Try. Go on.
We can also use sine similarity also, but we have other methods, Okapi method and pivoted normalization weighting method. Why we move to Okapi method? It is more effective than cosine for short queries, and the formula is given by this one, where Fij represents raw frequency of the term I in the document J, where Fiq represents raw frequency of the term I in the document query Q, and DFI is the number of documents contain term I, and DLJ is the document length J, and AVDL is average document length. And here we next move to pivoted normalization weighting method. It is similar to mostly Okapi method, but the formula is given by this. Thank you, ma'am.
Very good. Good explanation. Very good. Next. Who is explaining? Yes. Who is presenting now?
Oh, no vector model. Hello?
You are explaining vector model, statistical model.
No, I'm explaining statistical model, but there's vector model before me, so I'm asking, isn't anyone explaining that?
Already the previous candidate Teju Ankunta, Teju has explained kada. He had explained vector model and Boolean model. You go
Okay.
ahead with statistical model.
Yes, ma'am. 1 second, ma'am. Okay, so I'll be talking about, am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, so I'll be talking about statistical language model. So we'll talk about the following today. So first, the problem and how did we arrive at the statistical language model. Secondly, we'll talk about statistical language model. Then third, we'll talk about unigram language model. And finally, we'll talk about its uses. So problem of modeling language. So if we take languages like computer language into consideration, when I say computer languages, I mean languages like Java, C, Python. We can specify them easily because we have a limited set of reserved terms. So it becomes easy to create the syntax and specify them. But when it comes to natural language, there is no formal specification because natural language is a moving target. So although there are many linguists that try to specify the natural language with formal grammars and structures, we can also do it, but it is difficult and the results can be fragile. So how do we overcome this problem? So we can overcome the problem of modeling a language by using statistical language modeling. So a formal definition is as follows. Language modeling is a task of assigning a probability to sentences in a language. Besides assigning a probability to each sequence of words, the language model also assigns a probability for likelihood of a given word to follow sequence of words. Just in case you don't understand the definition, don't worry, I'll explain it in the next slide. So moving on, what is statistical language? So it basically helps us to give the probability distribution over sequence of words. So when I say probability distribution over sequence of words, I mean that it helps us to give the probability of a word to occur after a sequence of words. So we'll take this example into consideration here. So I'll just give these numbers because the order is wrong. So if we take the first sentence into consideration, the probability of today is Wednesday is given as 0.001, and then the probability that today Wednesday has a very less probability when compared to this. The reason why is that it is because this has a wrong grammar, so it has less probability. Now, from these three observations, what we can conclude is that the statistical language model is completely context based. When I say context based, what I mean is that suppose we consider the context to be what day is it today. Okay, so if we consider that to be the context, this sentence right here will have the highest probability when compared to this sentence right here, the sentence which says that the eigenvalue is positive, because
I had to please repeat what do you mean by context here?
okay, when I say context based, I mean that like suppose the context is what day is it today. So this sentence that today is Wednesday will have a higher probability when when compared with the sentence that the eigenvalue is positive, because the sentence eigenvalue is positive is remotely related to the context here. So I hope that part is clear, everyone.
Right.
Sorry, ma'am.
Right. Proceed.
Okay, so moving on, the statistical language model is also known as generative model. Now, this is because it provides a probabilistic mechanism for generating text, which basically means we can generate text using the model. Now, moving to unigram model. Unigram model is a type of statistical model. It is the simplest language model. So here we can generate text by generating words independently. So we'll see this point at the end with an example. Okay, so thus the probability of W1, W2, so on, Wn is also equal to probability of the individual terms. That is probability, the summation of probability of individual terms. That is probability of W1 plus W2, probability, so on, till probability of Wn. The parameter here is n, which is basically the size or the total number of words or the size of the vocabulary. Now you can consider a vocabulary to be a container of words and the probabilities. Okay. Now this point, the fourth point, is almost same as the second point. So a text is equal to sample drawn according to this word distribution. So I'll explain the second point. Suppose we are given the sentence, we are supposed to find the probability of the sentence today is Wednesday. So what we can do here is that we can break this down into independent words. Today into probability of is into probability of Wednesday. I hope this part is clear, this point. Okay. So next. So basically we can perform two tasks or operation here. One is sampling, the other is estimation. So we'll see sampling first. So sampling is used to generate text or a probable document from given word distribution. Now, what is word distribution? Word distribution is basically like a vocabulary which contains words and their probabilities. Okay, so we'll take the example of this word distribution, that is text mining. So text mining will obviously contain these words: text, mining, association, information retrieval, and the probabilities. And the probabilities of these words will be higher when compared to the word food, because it is not related to text mining. Similarly, if we take the distribution health into consideration, the word food and nutrition will have a higher probability when compared to the word text. Okay, now using these distributions, we can create papers or documents on text mining as well as health. So now these documents are created by taking sample of these words. Like suppose we can take the sample of text plus mining and create a sentence or a text, or we can take the sample of text plus information and create another sample. And in a similar way, we can also create a document on health using the distribution health. Now, estimation. Estimation is basically the opposite of sampling. Okay. So here what we are given is, we are given the document here, the paper, and we have to create the distribution. Okay. So now these document contains different words: text, mining, database, query. Okay. And these numbers, as you can see, 10, 3, 2, and 1 are the count of these numbers or the frequency of these numbers. And the total number of words is 100 here. So now we need to create this distribution or this model. So how do we do it? So we can first write down all the words that occur in the document and the probabilities. So in order to derive the probability, the most general method what we do is we take the frequency of the occurrence of the word by total number of words. Okay. So suppose if I'm taking text into consideration, so the number of times text occurs is 10 and the total number of words here is 100. So we get the probability of text as 0.1, as you can see here. Okay. So now what this formula is known as maximum likelihood estimator. So we can use this maximum likelihood estimator to find the distribution or the model. All right. So now using a language model, we can represent topics. Okay. So these are three different topics: general background English text, computer science papers, and text mining. Okay. So these topics along with the distributions are known as models. Okay. So when we consider the first topic, that is general, or the first model, that is general background English text, it contains these words that are the, is, we. These are the most common English terms, hence the higher probabilities. Okay, very common terms. And then when we take these words into consideration, compute, text, and all, they are just common. And the words which come after these dots are least common. Okay. Similarly, when we take computer science papers into consideration, these words like the, is, we occur again because they are very frequently used English terms. So we'll call them very common. And then these terms are the terms which are related to computer science document. These also have high probability, and we'll call them very common. And then the rest are least common. Similarly, again for text mining, the normal English terms will occur, and then the terms related to text mining, and then the remotely related terms. Okay, so this model is known as background language model, whereas this model is known as collection language model, and this model is known as document language model. The other use of language model is for association analysis. I'll explain association analysis with an example. Okay, so if we are given the question that we need to find what words are semantically related to the word computer. Okay, so to do that, first, like, forget all of this part, just focus here. Okay, here and here. So initially what we'll do is we'll derive all the documents which contain the words computer. Okay, then using the task or the operation estimation, as we learned 2 slides ago, estimation, we can derive the model or the distribution which contains all the words that occur in the document and their probabilities. Okay, so we have the words, computer, software, text, so on, which are semantically related to the word computer. This is what we need, and this is what we need, and this is what we don't need, but it also contains these. Okay, so now we need to remove these. Now how to do that? So in order to do that, what we'll do is we'll also take another model into consideration, that is general background English text, which contains all the common frequently used English terms with high probabilities. Okay, now we'll perform an operation, some sort of operations. The operation is not important at the moment, between these two models, in order to get rid of this from this. Okay, so we are only left with these words. So how do we do that? So what the operations are? So we use one basic operation, that is normalization. Okay, so normalization is basically the ratio between the two models. Once we perform the ratio between the two models, we get all the terms with the higher probability, or the terms which are semantically related to computer, on the top, and then all the words with the lower probability at the bottom, which are not related to computer. So this helps us to derive or to get the words which are semantically related to computer. So this helps us in information retrieval system in a way. Now moving on, finally the uses of language model. So one uses that it helps us to quantify uncertainties in natural language. The second uses that to represent topics, which we learned 2 slides ago. Third uses that to discover word associations. We learned this right here. Okay, association analysis. And so the domains where this is generally used, where the natural language processing tasks is used, is optical character recognition, handwriting recognition, machine translation, spelling correction, image captioning, text summarization, and much more. So that's it from my side for on statistical language modeling. Thank you.
Very good, Ahad. A very good
Yes, ma'am.
explanation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very good. Good work. Next.
Ma'am, next.
Statistical model. Yes, proceed.
Is it visible? Hello? Hello? Is it visible?
Yes, it is visible.
My topic is statistical language model.
Indeed, you are showing from phone, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
So, what about others? It's very small.
Well, can we present a document? And I don't think we can present a document. We can only share the screen. Slideshow. Okay.
Ah, yes.
My topic is statistical language model.
Hmm.
Actually, when and where the language model is, we can also call statistical language model as language model. This is majorly used in Google search engine or Edge search engine. Suppose when we search a query in the Google search engine, how we get the predicted words in the search box. Like when, for example, when I type I eight eyes, we get certain suggestions for the query. To our dictionary, that is Google contains millions of records. How does it predict that such accurate words for suggestions? It is majorly because statistical language model can solve this ambiguity by giving the higher probability to the correct word based on the given text. Uh, Means it is completely based on probability and having foundations in statistical theory. Uh, we have so many statistical models, but majorly used is this Ingram
Bayes
model.
rule.
Bayes rule is a formula we use, but uh, this Ngram is a model we use in statistical model.
Okay.
Yeah, we first estimate the model for each document, and then we rank the document so we can output the accurate one. Suppose let's consider a query to be Q. Q is a term of words, sequence of words Q1, Q2, and Qm up to Qm, and let the documents be D1, D2, D3. Then probability of a document DJ to be presented for the given query Q is nothing but by using Bayes theorem, that is given here, P of DJ Q given DJ. The probability of a given query has been generated by a probabilistic model based on the document DG is nothing but posterior probability. But here we only know PR of probability of Q and probability of DJ, but we need to find the probability of DJ given Q, which will be seen in the further. In simple text, if we consider, let's consider we have only four words, W1, W3, W4. Then we need to find the joint probability of these four words, which is nothing but Bayes theorem change model, which comes as next probability of history given the next word. It's nothing but here what we did PR of Q given DJ, which will be further reduced as P of W4 given here. In grams, this is an important model. We need to know about it. It turns out that we can do pretty well by simply looking at it is completely dependent on the previous words and the history. So previous words can be need to be considered. N-grams are nothing but a token of sequence of words. Suppose 1 gram model means it's a single word. 2 gram model means it consists of two model. Bigram is nothing but, for our example, I8 eyes, it comes I8 is a one bigram, 8 eyes is another bigram. Even we have trigrams also. But our language model used in most existing work is based on unigram. Unigram is nothing but a single word. This assumes that each term is generated independently, which is essentially multinomial distribution. Sorry, that word multinomial distribution over words. Then this is the formula for calculating our DJ given queue document given the query. In this, we all f of IQ is nothing but the number of times the single word in the query occurs. Let's see let's see this in a simple terms. Suppose our query is its water was so transparent. Then how does it break into our given problem, that is probability of DJ given Q? It simply occurs chain rules and furtherly breaks into a probability of probability of water of its given water into probability of its water given was, like the chain rule will be applied for this. But in this process also we need to go deeper. Here let's see probability of transparent its water. So here it is 5 gram, which can't be calculated. It becomes lengthy. So unfortunately, we'll never be able to get enough data to compute these statistics for just longer prefixes. So we need to need to calculate each term in the query. So the retrieval problem is reduced to estimating probability of DJ given TI. TI is nothing but each single word in the query, which can be done by the problem. For our given example, this can be simply done by probability of converting into bigrams and trigrams. This is given here. And we need to, this is something called as smoothing. Is a non-zero probability. It's typically assigned to each unseen term in the document. We can't, all our words in the document can't be seen, so we apply smoothing to our this pair of TI, DJ. So it becomes easier. We call lambda, lambda and lambda mod b we add to the formula, so it becomes easier for it. When lambda is 1, it's called Laplace smoothing, and when lambda is less than 1, it is called Lidstone smoothing. And the advantage applications where this is used are automatic speech recognition, optical character recognition, statistical machine translation, spoken language regression. These are the fields or the domains where this language model is majorly used. Thank you.
Yes, very good. Right. Thank you. Now I'll go to the topic. Next, I'll explain more from the next class onwards. Again, your PPT's explanation. I'll go with the relevant feedback. Let me share. So to improve the retrieval effectiveness, we'll go with a technique called as relevance feedback. In relevance feedback, you have 3 steps, the following steps. That is, the first thing, the user will identify the relevant and irrelevant documents. And based on these relevant documents and irrelevant documents, the query will get expanded. And once the query is expanded with the new terms, the new search will take place and the user is given with the new set of documents. And this process will get continued until the user is satisfied. So So one of the most famous method that is used for relevance feedback is Rocio method, wherein you use three parameters, that is alpha, beta, and gamma parameters. And we'll see what are these alpha, beta, gamma parameters values in the next slide. So QE is nothing but the new query is expanded using new query terms, but that are taken from relevant and irrelevant documents. The minus sign which you see here is why we are minusing the irrelevant document terms, because there may be some common terms which are related to both relevant and irrelevant documents. Is it clear now? All right. Okay. See, in our formula, we are using minus sign. Why we are using minus sign? There may be some common terms which are related to both the relevant documents and irrelevant documents. I don't want the repetition of relevant and irrelevant terms in the. Sorry, I'll repeat. There may be some common terms which are both in relevant documents and irrelevant documents. As I don't want to repeat these terms, I am subtracting the terms which are repeating in irrelevant documents. That's why the minus sign in the new query terms. So relevance feedback using machine learning method, we have relevant and irrelevant documents, and as we have relevant and irrelevant documents, these relevant documents and irrelevant documents can be considered as class label, and we can form a classification model from them. And we can apply the classification models like a naive-Bayes classification, support vector machine, so on. And since we are expanding our query terms, comparison with original query is not required. And even we are classifying according to relevant and irrelevant documents. Whatever the user has given the relevant documents in the first feedback can be considered as training set. And the variations of Rocio model is called as Rocio classification method. So building a Rocio classifier is done by constructing a prototype vector for each class, that is CI. That means which is either relevant or irrelevant. There are two classes, relevant document class and irrelevant document class. For each of these classes, we are constructing a vector. And here, DI means set of documents of class I. And alpha and beta is given when you are using term frequency, inverse document frequency term weighting scheme. Alpha is given as 16 and beta is given as 4. Relevance feedback from labeled and unlabeled examples. The user may be presented with millions of documents. Out of that millions and lakhs of results that the user has presented, the user may select only the few documents, right? Out of that small number of documents he is or she is saying, the user selects a few number of relevant and irrelevant documents. And based on this few number of documents, it is difficult to build an accurate classifier. So what is unlabeled examples? Unlabeled examples means the documents that are not selected by the user. The documents that are not selected by the users does not mean that they are irrelevant documents. See, mostly if n number of documents are presented, you might visit the first 2 pages or 3 pages. And in the first page, you may have 10 results. In the second page, you may have 10 results. Mostly up to 20 or 30 documents you will visit. After 30 does not mean that they are irrelevant. They are not seen by the user. So what are unlabeled examples? The documents that are not selected by the user. And these documents can be utilized to improve the learning procedure. The user selected relevant and irrelevant documents forms a small set of training set. And from this training set, we'll construct a classifier and will improve the query search terms. Next, learning from positives and unlabeled examples. What is LU? What is LU? Labeled and unlabeled. Labeled and unlabeled learning and machine learning assumes that the user can confidently identify both relevant and irrelevant documents. But it is not the case with all the users. Users selects that she feels relevant based on the title or summary information. See, when you type some keywords in Google search, some documents are presented to you, and based on the summary there, you will click. But once you click on that, based on the summary, the inside content may not be relevant or as expected by you. Okay. The selection does not mean, though the user has selected, it does not mean that they are relevant documents. So the user is selecting the documents when he is feeling that it is relevant based on the title or summary information that is presented to the user. And those documents that are not selected by the user may not be treated as irrelevant. As he has not seen them or not selected them, you cannot consider them as irrelevant documents. You can only regard them as unlabeled documents. And this type, and based on that unlabeled documents, you can frame the relevance feedback. And this type of feedback is called as implicit feedback. Learning from positives and unlabeled examples. The same thing. In order to learn in this case, we use positives and unlabeled learning. We consider the user selected documents as positive examples and unselected documents as unlabeled examples, but not as irrelevant examples. And using this type of approach, we got a very good results. And for ranking, support vector machine and the language models are used. We have seen in previously that how language models are used to frame the queries. The new queries are generated based on the sample documents that are given. So that the sample documents are drawn from the original documents based on the probabilities. Okay, and the user are selecting the query terms based on the sample documents. That is, this sample documents are a type of feedbacks. But in that case, the user interaction for creating the feedback is not there. So support vector machines and the language models are used for ranking. So mainly SVM is used to rank the unselected documents, which is based again on selected documents. Pseudo relevance feedback. So in the previous classes, in the previous cases, what we have done, the user has given in the first case, he has selected out of some selected documents, he has specified this, that these are relevant documents and these are not relevant documents. Again, in PU case, what the system has done, based on the user's selection, it has decided that what are labeled documents and unlabeled documents, and it has expanded the query. So user's intervention is there. But here, the basic idea is the terms are extracted from the top ranked documents and added them to the original query to form a new query for second round of the retrieval, and this process will be continued until the user is satisfied. So in this case, user is not involved. Based on the top ranked documents only, the query terms will get improved and the result is presented to the user. So pseudo relevant feedback is the relevance feedback in which user's intervention will not be there. Yes. Any doubts? Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Right. We'll stop here and continue in the next class. And our timetable is going to change. And I don't know with effect from when it is going to affect.